Let's hope this isn't something I regret. Alright. Check how this looks on my app. What it looks like is a whole bunch of overstimulation. Log in every day. Which one do I want to do? I'm gonna go with story. How do I sound though? Story. How do I sound? Good. So far, so good. Conflicting emotions. I wouldn't say these guys are quite at their pinnacle of power. Definitely not. But what I will say is I've been focusing more on developing characters such as Sephiroth, Tifa when I have replaced Aerith, and Red 13 because of this upcoming section. Oh, this one's a little different. They're not gonna do the whole "who do I like more" speech with Elena coming in midway through. On top of that, it's a 3v3, and in the original section, this was a 3v2. These guys are not getting their limits off. I love it. There you go. It'd be nice if Redford team got a level or two, because he's still kind of squishy compared to everyone else. This is probably my favorite part of Ever Crisis, besides the first older section, the arrangement of Heart of Anxiety, or Anxious Heart. Someone made a point about this scene. Man, I love old school Gongaga. Before they turned into generic Sony jungle themed locale. So yeah, the point made was that this is an elderly couple, just like it was in OG, whereas in Rebirth, they kind of youthed up Zack's parents. He was trying to get up out the hood. That's a leap in logic, but it's actually kind of true. I guess I'll check on Aerith first. Given that she has a bigger reason to be upset. That was her man's, after all. Tifa is more like, oh, that's the person who was in what's his face, the Nibelheim incident. Plus, this is a gotcha. I can always go back and check Tifa's dialogue if I want. Whatever. Well, we gotta have the scene with the huge materia foreshadowing and Scarlet, I think. So typically I do Cosmo Canyon first and then I go to Gongaga, but sometimes officially the way you're supposed to do it is you go to Gongaga first and then Cosmo Canyon. I do like some of the creative liberties that Ever Crisis takes, but the others just seem like creative compromises more so than anything else, or an excuse to have like a fun boss fight. Man, I love feeling overpowered. It's too bad I can't really get that feeling when doing Zack scenario. I do like this background. This feels like a pre-rendered background you would get somewhere else, like an OG. That chorale theme means they actually did skip the scene with Scarlet and the huge materia in that junkyard, which is too bad. I think they went a little too fast with that. They could have gone a little more specific, but they're trying to rush this. They don't want the retelling of OG to take too long now. What's with this chores filler section? You could have had something better. I shouldn't complain too much. I mean, I will because we could have fought the Rhino thing in the Gongaga junkyards. That would have been Kino and shown up Rebirth a little bit. This guy's laid up like me when I'm dealing with torsion of the testicular variety. They should have called this thing Return to Corel. What the fuck? Let me out this bitch. Let me out this hole. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe this is what I've been asking for. Could it be? It is. I don't even actually feel like I'm playing a game anymore. I feel like I'm being a reactor more than anything else. Which is a good thing. Really, another ostrich? They could have gave us that rhino on like the Triceratops motherfucker. Yeah, it was a Triceratops on like this uh, junkyard vehicle, this construction vehicle with not wheels, but the strap that like moves, the wheel like fashion, almost like an escalator. Okay, yeah, the scene with Scarlet that I wanted to see. That humor is for like 4-year-olds. Just raising the font and having her arms spread farther apart to say, big, large, huge. At least they're trying to do something with. Yeah, in that order. Since much of this game early on was a transcript of OG's dialogue, them getting creative with the dialogue in any way is an upgrade. Just because it has me drawn to the text for any reason. Imagine getting depressed because Red 13 is not going to be in your party anymore. Although, let's be honest, considering this is only the seventh mainline Final Fantasy, someone could have thought this game would have had a revolving party member system ever so slightly. Maybe not in the sense of people come and go just to keep your maximum formation 3 or 4, but 5 was like that, 4 was like that, 3 was like that for your guests. So maybe someone would have really thought, hey, Red 13 is probably just going to go and stay put. Man, everybody looks rough in that CG. Let me help you out. I hated the planetology cult in Rebirth. They were just such pretentious snobs. I know they were selling Molly somewhere. So yeah, playing with the font for humor and the mannerisms of the characters as source of dialogue is or emphasis. I'm okay with that. It's not going to have me laughing, but it'll have me engaged. What the fuck is up with these ostriches, man? Is the dominant species of OG's World and Ever Crisis ostriches? I mean, they are more attracted to us than they are to each other, so. Perhaps they truly are the apex predator. I mean, the Balors were dominant in Rador. Yeah, so his manner of speech changes, but because this game is text based, I don't really think they're gonna give him the shonen voice. Oh, now this man is oversharing about his parental trauma. Hopefully, in this game or this campaign, he's not as much of an ass. Because I love Bugenhagen in OG. But they turned him into like a pretentious pseudo intellectual. Oh, he does become a little bit more repentant. What I'm worried about is the inevitable Gina attack battle, because Red 13 needs a little bit more time to cook. This guy's even dressed like an ostrich. He knows what's up. He knows what the apex predator is. Daddy, when can I be on my own? I have the whole world to see. So Aerith put her hands up, but she didn't act as confused. Probably because she's familiar with the cries of the planet and Lifestream. Man, they really messed up the Lifestream section or exposition dump with fucking Rebirth. Because it became some pretentious dude telling us what we already know. Doing what the soy people call mansplaining. So it loses a lot of its impact, especially because at this point, remake and rebirth stories cumulatively amounted to a lot of time, and we've had a lot of hints as to how all of this works already. And it's hard to take in this new information, which is not so new for us, when we also got to take in Bugenhagen not listen to what we know. They look like heartburn ads. Head on, apply directly to the head. I miss when television commercials had that like low budget aesthetic where uh, it was practically like the graphic you would get on a magazine or brochure for like a supermarket catalog and menu with the groceries and essentials for home care like bleach and dishwasher fluid. Dishwashing soap, I guess. Produce, meat, cereal boxes. rice in like cereal boxes, hot cereal boxes. So it's nice that the whole squad gets to see it, as opposed to just like whoever we brought with us of a select free watching it. I was like this when I was 9 because all I really had to do back then was game and do stuff in the house. I don't really want to speak to Tifa. That's just a top option. You know, as you become more grown, you become a bit more contemplative. And well, I was already contemplating interesting things around then. But after a while, I started really having access to more intellectual matters because of YouTube and Wikipedia, just the internet really like taking off. So they're letting me speak to everybody. This beat that I'm adding to it is not really enhancing it much. That breakdown style beat. Barrett's was the one that I found the most interesting due to him becoming a little bit more repentant about his actions now that he sees the more spiritual side of Avalanche's message as opposed to the material side. I really don't like when people say Barrett is a flat character because that just lets me know that they don't really pay attention to the dialogue or have like memory issues. But then again, Pro Jared hasn't had like a consistently great review of any Final Fantasy. Shout out to him for understanding the laugh scene from Final Fantasy X, though. Like, he'll do like one step forward and then just
be completely average in every other regard in his reviews. Same with like his review of Seven, where he understood just how great that game is at role playing and getting us to not just become Cloud, but have Cloud become an extension of our interest as the player. Which is something that a lot of games after Seven really don't do. Eight is like there's one romance system. It's not even a system; it's just a story. We can only name like two characters, Squall and Renoa. Ten had an affection system, but it was very subtle. It was for things like who you rode with you to Yuna's, seeing Seymour in Lake Makalania, and who says like a last line to you before you jump on Sin's back and try to fight his cis mole. So this is what we have to do now because my son couldn't stop bad mouthing his own daddy. I will have to say his power level is looking pretty decent for a guy who's 28 levels behind, and now with the most up to date weaponry. I mean, it's not going to matter because his HP is still kind of crap, but holla at your boy. He's not even DPS. Sorry about that, Red. That was me, most likely. This feels like dealing with the Gnosis and Xenosaga before the Hilbert effect activates. They're just too higher dimensional for you to like do anything to. Oh, but this is a unique dungeon. Instead of sort of like this pseudo random battle system, you actually have to avoid the enemies, and it makes them seem a lot creepier. Have I been talking shit about my daddy? My daddy was an OG the whole time.
Feel like I missed out on a chance for some treasure, but I really don't mind, man. Let's just make it past this point. Ugh, he looks like Lane Staley when he's a little too skinny. Because this is an interesting mechanic. Normally we would toss like an X potion on this guy or an elixir or a phoenix down. And that'd be the end of that. I'm impressed by how much health Red 14 actually does have. This fight would have probably been hard if uh, everything didn't get nerfed. Although Genova is still hard even with the nerf. That fight was fun and had a lot of interesting mechanics. I'm sure the hard variant of that would be a hellscape. I love how they're saying, yeah, you hard carried this. I guess Red 13 just naturally has a lot of health if you progress him even a little bit, whereas Tifa is a little bit more of a glass cannon. Although she doesn't really hit hard, she just debuffs the hell out of enemies with her limit break. Lowers their defense so everyone else can go crazy. She's a saboteur. Ooh, I love this arrangement, man. I need to drop the OST Forever Crisis by the time the end of service thing begins.
Apparently, Brave Exvius and even War of the Lions, both of those are going to be end of service real soon. This could really use some color grading, but kind of like the smoky effect that we see. So I'm glad they actually didn't skimp out on some of these sections. I was dreading this section because I was worried that my neglect of Red 13 was going to bite me in the ass. But that wasn't really the case. You know, the patterns on his shoulder pads, they're windmilly, but sometimes they look like a manji or swastika. Just 5 instead of 4. Don't use that word. It makes people paranoid. I used to think because of telomerase and telomeres that you couldn't live past 125, but since then there's been a lot of people that have gotten past that age. This proves that. Yeah, he's encased in stone and permanently petrified, but I guess he's not actually like dead. His soul is encased in that stone body of his. Let me check how much battery I have left. Of course, it'd be 56%. Of how much this game wants to put me on a list. The planetologists just look like the testaments in Xenosaga over there. It looks like they'll be bothering Shion so that she can uh, restart the eternal recurrence. So the red one is Kevin, the blue one is Luis Virgil, and the white one is Obito. The black one was Voyager. Nothing's worse than motion sickness. You take that back, Yuffie.
You are full of shit right now. The only thing worse is dealing with motion sickness and testicular torsion while driving. We did it. Man, they love Corral. They can't let go of this place. Yeah, if you just go by Ever Crisis, you would think that the entire grand continent is just this big wasteland. Yeah, the gaslight section. His pants do not go with that shirt and vest getup. That blazer and shirt combo. He looks straight out of the 1970s. He looks like he'll fit right in with the mystery gang. With that mansion and those black robes, I immediately think of the film Begotten. You just need to put it in black and white. Okay, Otto was going way too fast. So I wonder if we'll fight Lost Number. Yeah, there's an amazing hard boss fight. I'm gonna need you guys to space out from behind me so I have room to dodge this dude's attacks. Yeah, Otto is just being way too ridiculous. Okay, so magic isn't gonna work on him in this state. He hits hard and he gets hit hard here. Whereas in the other state, he uh, zaps hard and gets zapped hard. Oh, this is taking forever, man. Let me see something real quick. Nah. He's still in that state. Trust me when I say this guy is not that easy in OG. He has a lot of single targeting attacks, so I would have probably needed to boost up her HP if there wasn't for the nerf. Just to let you guys know, I don't know how this chapter ends. I like how she hands it to Cloud like a good girl. Yeah, this is Yuffie before she turned into a Kiseki character. I guess he explained the whole Nibelheim incident and Sephiroth's current objective of finding the Promised Land. Auditing. So he's the bill man. It feels like he's a little bit more specific here. It's Aerith's way of calling him a bitch. Okay, this is where we speak to Sephiroth. Does he throw the materia at us? So. Okay, he doesn't throw the materia at him, which is a damn shame, but I did like that exchange with Vincent. He was letting on enough to make himself more interesting. Did Vincent see Sephiroth? Man, he must have flown right past him. Based on the angle which he was walking. So I wonder, are we gonna see the Materia Keeper fight, or are they gonna straight up skip to Rocket Town? Because we never got to see Rocket Town in Rebirth. That'll be unfamiliar territory. Uh, Maybe they'll skip that part, just like they did in Rebirth, with Vincent having that eat that cake Annie May attitude to his girlfriend Shara, or his assistant Shara. And it'll just have him show up somewhere in Mount Nebel to give us a ride. We can go back to Gold Saucer to try to get the Keystone. What's his face? We'll have to go back to. We'll have to go to Temple of the Ancients afterwards. And if they skip Rocket Town, which means they skip that fun fight against Palmer, that should be easy no matter what difficulty it is. We should be able to get to the potential Forgotten Capital section. But if not, just getting through Temple of the Ancients is good enough for Chapter 8. I think it'd be whack and incredibly sucky if it ended anytime before that, including Gold Saucer. But that's just wishful thinking on my part. I don't think they'll promote the chapter where we get debut of Sid as the one where we get to see the end of Aerith. So I'm just gonna guess that it'll be Temple of the Ancients as the appropriate stopping point. Anyway, this has been your boy Mr. Wonka 7. This section was pretty dense. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to get through, which that's good gotchaing, man. I don't know what's happening with Applebot and Square Enix. Maybe they're looking at the money that they're not making, that they expected to make, and they're thinking, fuck, we gotta do something. We gotta make some changes. So they made it a little bit easier so that we can proceed through the main story, so that we can try and get some of these new gotcha costumes. The one that Vincent has where he's dressed in a hoodie, he looks like he's tries to sell me weed. It's pretty funny. Uh, I like these achievements that I get too. It's loud though, but I have very little experience playing Steam games, so I'm not really like used to all this. Eventually, I'm gonna have to play some more Steam games for like the Sky series, for the collection of Saga games, but that'll be in the future. Maybe even playing Final Fantasy VII on here so that I can get all the trophies and mod the hell out of it later on with new thread or the mod that Odysseus is working on. Strife is right. Yeah, this was. They did not skimp out on anything here, which I'm surprised by. They cut through a lot of fat, some of which I didn't like them skipping out the dialogue where Reno and Rue discuss who they like more. But that's no big deal. They made up for it with their own type of comic relief. And I've already been complaining to death about the transcript nature of this game's dialogue, which has improved tremendously. Let me see what I accomplished here. Damn, that's generous. So yeah, they gave Vincent this black color scheme. So Lisa Fuji said she got a little creative with it. Aesthetically, there's very little wrong with this aside from a lack of color grading on certain scenes to give them a bit of directorial attention, but this is on point. If this was structured more like a JRPG, you could probably sell this as like a single player game, provided you rebalance everything. But this was great. I am curious what they're gonna do with not so much Chapter 4 of Crisis Core, which I think is gonna be what we get next month, but Season 2 of First Soldier. That's the only other campaign there is, and inevitably when they showcase Sid, this might be September, might be October. I don't know when it'll be, but because the balancing has been great so far, I'll definitely be there, and I'll definitely try to beef up all of my main characters and get Tifa caught up. So this has been your boy Mr. 117. Thank you guys for watching, and XIII.